All right, we are live and ready to roll, and I have my hair all done up tonight, and I know Alecia does as well. Welcome, Alecia.
Thank you.
So
I can give you some of my hair. You can put it in that. Nobody would expect you to have curly hair.
yeah, I know. I actually do have hair. I've literally been shaving my head for probably 13 years, and people always ask why you shave your head when you have hair, and I'm like, it's low maintenance, it's simple, it's easy, and it works. Now, believe it or not, we're not actually here to talk about hair tonight. We're here to talk about the Animal Wellness Summit. Right now, we're literally hours left from when the 72-hour free replay weekend is going to be closing. There's been over a couple thousand people that have signed up to participate, and I'm happy to say that the support desk was a lot more quiet this weekend because we did a lot of work on improving the user experience, a lot of different elements to really make it more interactive and engaging when it comes to getting more of the content. And so what's really cool about it is that Alecia is here to talk to us about just the effects of, but also why you should or shouldn't use a collar. And but before we jump right into that, I first just want to let you know, if you guys are just jumping on with us live, let us know in the comments here where you're listening in live from. And if you're coming in late, then that's no problem. You can still tune in and let us know where you're tuning in live from. I know, Alecia, you're in Colorado right now.
I am.
Yeah. And I'm in Ontario, Canada. So we're, I just said to my wife, our girls have been acting very interesting, expressing their personalities in full extent. And I'm
full moon.
Like, I looked out the window. I'm like, oh, the moon. It's like almost a full moon. And
no, it is a full moon.
Is it? Yeah, I didn't know if it looked like it was quite full tonight. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, and again, this has nothing to do with the actual call, other than the fact that we're making small talk and that we're excited with the Animal Wellness Summit. So Lynn has been too busy to watch. So Lynn, we totally get that. We do hear that even during the not 2 weeks, but the 10 days when we do the Animal Wellness Summit. We did it in November. People emailed and were like upset. They're like, "Oh my goodness, I missed it! Like, I can't believe it." And so there will be opportunities that if you missed this 72-hour free replay weekend, that we're going to have another one coming up in a couple months. But we are opening an invitation to you all to join us as a VIP member. Gives you access to all of the presenters in a Facebook group, on live weekly coaching calls, all of their content that's in our membership site. You also get access to our app as well, and all for less than $1 a day. In fact, that's on the monthly payment option. You can actually get it much more economical. And you're just going to want to check your email, because you've been sent an email literally just a couple minutes ago at the time of this call. And if you are not on, or you didn't join in the 72-hour free replay, then you might be wondering what you missed out on. But you can then contact us at support@animalwellnesssummit.com. So, Alecia, the reason why you're here and what we're talking about is you being an Animal Wellness Summit presenter or expert. Just share with everybody your, I think we've been on Facebook Live. You've been on a couple times with me, right? Yes. So we'll just pretend that everybody doesn't know who you are. Just give us a quick little summary of who you are, what you do, and what your presentation was about. And let's basically to kind of preface why we're going to talk about the whole whether you should or shouldn't use a collar with your dog.
Okay. My name is Alecia Evans, and I'm a holistic dog trainer, an animal communicator, and energy healer. And I invented a product called Walk in Sync, which is a harness and leash that, when paired together, really helps you walk your dog with ease in less than 5 minutes. My background was having a chocolate lab who was off the charts, just wouldn't listen. I mean, tried every training tool, went to tons of training classes, and unfortunately, just, every time we were told to help him, we were told to use something harsher and harsher and harsher. And I was a fitness trainer. I was an elite level fitness trainer in New York City at the time. So I knew a lot about body biomechanics and how movement works. And I started applying some of that with the dogs. And what was interesting was I didn't have the full grasp yet of how much training tools can actually affect dogs' behaviors adversely. But one day my dog and I had an unfortunate incident on a sidewalk with a choke chain, and I broke down crying, and I made a vow to him to make walking and training your dog much simpler, much easier, and for the humans and the dogs to communicate way better. So my presentation, eventually I became a dog trainer 10 years later. And so I've been training for about 18 years. And I made a discovery of how much bodies are actually connected to behaviors. So in most training, we talk a lot about the behavior, but rarely, unless there's an actual reason to go to the veterinarian, clearly there's a limp. Clearly, my dog can't turn, their head. We don't really think anything of it. But just like us humans, we work out, we play, we're active, and we knock ourselves out of alignment. And, just think about how much we play, how much rougher dogs and puppies play. So I started realizing that as my clients were coming to see me for behavior issues, I just started doing a very simple back assessment to see if there was any discomfort or any unrecognized pain in the back. And I discovered there, with almost every single one of my clients that had a behavior issue, whether it was fear or aggression or, being timid or just being hyperactive, pretty much every single dog had some type of muscle tension in their back. And then I learned a very simple muscle release technique. And what I started observing was how fast the dog's total behavior changed. It was literally releasing a tight muscle and the dog taking a deep breath. All of a sudden, I had a totally different behavior. But what I always wanted to do was find a way to help dogs walk on leash with ease, because with my dog, we were not able to. And I meditate, and one day in a vision, a harness and leash combination came to me, and that's when I created Walk in Sync. So based on knowing human body biomechanics, I started taking massage courses and started understanding dog anatomy, and created Walk in Sync to be totally respectful of the dog's body, because a lot of harnesses present challenges in walking and movement, and created a leash that pairs with it beautifully so that the human side of the leash is calm. The dog gets very clear signals about healthy boundaries, and they learn to walk with ease in about 5 minutes.
Very cool. I remember you telling me about that. Whoops. Let me do this here for a second. I remember you telling me about that before, and I didn't really believe it. Not that I didn't think that you wouldn't be telling the truth, but I just was like, well, how is that really possible that it can happen in that short period of time? But I have ordered my system for Lucy. But the funny part is it's been in the package for about a week or two, because I was so excited to get it, and I set it aside. I was doing something in my office, and then now I'm actually moving to the office that I'm in now, so it got set aside. But I took Lucy out for a walk today, because it's just been in Canada, the weather's been not, it's actually been better, but it's still that kind of slimy time of year where it's
mud season.
Yeah, it's total mud season. And Lucy spends a lot more time indoors with us than we do have her outside, especially in the wintertime, with her just being a small dog. But anyways, I've been really wanting to get her out and take her out for a walk. And that hasn't been happening, but I did today. I only had the collar, and my little daughter McKenna was taking her for a walk, and Lucy was running ahead of her, and she kept pulling, trying to get me tripped up in the leash and the everything. And I just started laughing, because I'm like, oh, I wish I had the system. And then I remember one of the little videos that you showed. I think it's on your, I think of that little 5-minute manner makeover or something.
On the Walk in Sync site.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just saw, anyways, I was thinking, because that girl that you demoed it with I think she was maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah.
7. So McKenna's only 3.5, but I mean, I was just thinking how much, I actually videotaped it. I don't know if I told you this, but I videotaped me walking with Lucy and then McKenna walking with Lucy, and then I'm going to videotape with the walk and sync system. It'll be cool to see how she responds to it.
Yeah. I've just been blown away, but because I didn't design it with the knowingness that it would work. I literally just was sitting in meditation and asking for a solution so that dogs would not have to be choked anymore. Because one of the things that I studied in my background is not just biomechanics, like how things physically move and how to keep them in alignment, but I started studying about the anatomy and physiology inside of a dog.
Right.
So that was a lot of what I focused my presentation on, because we don't really understand it, even as trainers, right? We're not taught what is actually happening and going on to the anatomy inside a dog's neck, or their the front or the back of their neck.
Right.
And there's a lot of very delicate parts in here. You have your trachea, which is kind of like cardboard, but as anybody knows, like cardboard has a structure, but as soon as it gets dented, you can't fix it, and you can't repair it, and it doesn't have the same structural integrity. And I mean, just think about it from the perspective of putting a collar on your dog. Anytime your dog presses against that collar, there are chances that damage can be done. And then you have your thyroid in here. And then we wonder, why are so many dogs? The thyroid gland is actually like the master gland of the whole immune system, right? And think about everybody's got one in their neighborhood. Think about the lab like I had, right? It's just, they're like, I don't even have to say anymore, because you hear them coming down the street. Right? And then like there's a human like dragging behind. But what we don't realize, literally from a scientific standpoint, anatomy and physiology, once this trachea gets damaged, or once you hit on that thyroid enough, you're actually doing damage that will have repercussions for the rest of that dog's life.
Yeah.
And then you have your dogs like twirl, you know what I mean? Like where they yank their neck out, or puppies, when you first put collars on them, literally one of the first things almost every single puppy does is they don't go forward, they try to back out of it. So when they back out of it, what you have in the back of your neck is cervical vertebrae 1 and cervical vertebrae 2. As soon as those get compressed, that shuts down blood flow to the whole entire spine. So that can already set the dog up from puppyhood of experiencing things later on that they'll never connect to. The doctors are just not connecting it, and the trainers are not connecting it to the head being pulled. And if that occiput gets jammed, I mean, you have blood flow to the brain that gets jammed. It's just not a good thing. So I always err on the side of caution. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people will say, well, it's no big deal. And I'm like, you know what? You don't know that it's no big deal. So I would rather say, if you put a harness on your dog where they get clipped at the chest and there's no stress around the neck, you're keeping them in better structural alignment. I don't mind collars for tags. I just don't use collars for walking or training.
Right. When you talk about it now, and we were talking about it, am I getting an echo on my end, or is anybody else? No?
I don't hear it.
It's just me. Hopefully, just guys, let me know if you're on live. If you can, just let us, if I'm sounding a little muffled, let me know. But I unfortunately, hopefully not, because I can't change anything while I'm live. But when we had the call a couple weeks ago, we went with Dr. Aaron O'Connor, who is a animal chiropractor from Illinois, and then you talked about it from the dog training standpoint. She talked about it from the animal chiropractor standpoint. It blew my mind. I was like, I had no idea. But then when you think about it, as silly as it sounds, it's no different than us putting a collar on our neck and like pulling against it, and you feel like right here, you'd feel that choking. And
which you would never do, right? Like you'd never do that to your kid. And then that's a flat collar, right? Now think about, you got the choke chain, because that was the first thing like 25 years ago. Probably more, actually. I don't want to but that was the first thing, that's what the equipment was that you went to training with, right? And they're still using them today. And that's the thing, like, you're supposed to pop your dog. Okay, now you're like seriously squeezing upon the thyroid, and you could damage that trachea, and there's no repair. You can't do a surgery. If you ever damage the trachea, I mean, you could deal with esophageal issues, right? Because the trachea is hard. It's cartilage. So think about it like structured soft tissue. But once it gets damaged, it literally starts to die. So that's why what I want to bring forward is, I'm not trying to sell a product. I'm actually trying to educate pet parents, especially dog parents. No one in the industry is talking about this, right? They're saying, well, it could damage this, it could damage. I mean, I called a trainer today in Washington for one of my clients because she's got a big 2-year-old Rottweiler that needs some training, and I wanted to find out about methods they use. They're still using choke chains and prong collars, and I'm like, if we really understood the actual damage that can be created, we wouldn't be using them. And if we actually understood the actual anatomy that's in here, Barney, like you just said, it doesn't make any common sense because of the fact that we could hurt our animals, but we can't see it. So we won't know about it till years later. And then we're not making any of the connections that could have been prevented just by using a harness.
Yeah.
And then we get into there's different types of harnesses. I'm like, why did I create walk and sink?
Yeah, well, before you do that, let me pull this up. This would be cool for the visual. So you guys, can you see this on your end, Alecia?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is if you are what Alicia's talking about, because again, she's not only an animal wellness summit presenter, but the creator and the founder of this product and the system that's been like 7 or 8 years that you've been doing this. Walk and sink.
We're going on 7. Yeah, we're going on 7.
So this is really cool because here you can hit this play button and there's I don't think
that's me.
that just explains it, but this one here, I think you guys.
Do you want to play it?
Yeah, how long is it?
It's about 4 minutes, but it shows like how a 7-year-old can train a dog in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Say that last part again.
Can we see what happens?
Here is Lexi and Rosie, and Rosie was a 13-week-old Mastiff puppy. Rosie is a 7-year-old kid. So this was the beginning of what was going on in their walk. You know, Rosie would sort of be all over the place, and she would pull. Rosie would be all over the place and pull Lexi. So then we switched her over to the walk and sink harness. I showed Lexi 3 simple things to do. That was it. Yeah. And then I said, okay, now you guys go and walk. And this was the difference.
Yeah, and that dog could be dragging her on the ground.
Oh, yeah. And we're talking 13-week-old Mastiff puppy. So she's
basically,
she's only 13 weeks old.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's like the 2-step, and because I was doing that today with I was holding on
to the handles on the leash.
Well, yeah, but I didn't have the system out yet. I was only I remember seeing it, but it was just because I just did that because sometimes I would hold on to it. I would usually wrap it around by take the loop and then wrap it around my hand, and then now I've got it on one hand and then I hold on to the other one just so I can keep it close to me. But that's what the way she's doing it right now. It just looks cool because you got one in each hand. And then it goes right in the front, it looks like, right? It
clips right at the dog's chest. And so the way that I make the harness, first it had to be biomechanically correct because too many harnesses, like when I first tried harnesses, they go right across the dog's shoulders. So really, I would never exercise a dog in one of those. I wouldn't even really take a walk with a dog in one of those because it limits their range of motion. And even though Rosie was big, so when a dog walks, okay, especially puppies, because their growth plates are still growing before they close, you want to make sure that that dog has a full stride and a full range of motion. And you don't want anything to interfere with that, because if you're shortening the dog's shoulder stride, it can tighten up muscles in the back. It can create leg problems. It can create neck problems. So a lot of the harnesses on the market, the front clip harnesses, they were making them straight across, and the clip would be at the chest as a circle, or it would be on a martingale. Now, the problem with both of those is that, one, you're limiting the dog's range of motion, so you're actually affecting the dog's entire body just to get them to stop and slow down. And the other part of it was, unless you give that dog a solid, consistent boundary that, like, when you stop, and that's why I put the handles on the leash, because you only have a certain amount of room. They've got 2.5 feet. So when they go to move forward and you're stopped and there's only 2.5 feet and the pressure is right at your chest, at their chest, dogs don't like to push through things. They like to pull away from them. So when the harness clip is on the back, they can dig in their front legs and they get leverage, and then they go into instinct. And when you have them on any kind of collar, because it's behind them, they can use the muscles in their neck and they engage their front legs, and they'll stay on I'm going to go forward. Now with walk and sync, what happens is, because it's in front of their front legs and you have those handles and they only have 2.5 feet, as soon as you stop and relax, and those handles also, you mentioned something very important that most trainers never teach and they never understand, because it's an energy thing. When you go and wrap that leash around your hand, you're nervous that your dog's going to pull. That's why you're wrapping it around your hand. So you have leverage in case your dog pulls, that either you're not going to get pulled over, or they're not going to have close enough contact with another dog should they be aggressive or nervous or something like that. But with walk and sync, when you and the reason you do it is because you know that that leash keeps changing and it slides right through your hands. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I have certainly experienced leash burn, and it is not fun. So those two handles give you a sense of, I've really got my dog. So automatically, energetically, you actually feel calmer. You're not preparing for an event by wrapping the leash and sending a nervous signal to the dog, which makes them go, oh my God, what's going on, right? Because most aggression cases and most fear cases, it's not just the dog, the human is part of that whole picture. So with these flat handles, it just makes it super easy, because you know you have a solid grip. And so literally the energy in your body is actually calm and relaxed. And it's been amazing to watch, because for a lot of the people that come to me, their dogs pull. And the first time that they try this and their feet are still grounded and they're not getting pulled, it's like the human takes a deep breath of relief, the dog takes a deep breath of relief, and now all of a sudden the relationship totally changes, and the dog now can listen to what the human is actually asking for, and the human is actually being clear about exactly what they're asking for, because now they're calm and they're consistent and they know exactly what they want, which is when the dog hits the end of the harness or the end of the leash, they just simply back up. Super simple. So I've been surprised, because I didn't know any of this when I started it. I just kept learning as I just did what the vision said to do. And I built it and they came, but I had no idea when I started, like, all the cool things that I would start discovering about not just the physiology and the biomechanics of dogs, but also like how the energy on both sides of the leash actually works. and how many times on a very quiet level we're actually sending cross signals, and that's why we're still getting the problems that we're having when dogs pull or lunge or jump or get aggressive.
Yeah, I think what you said is wrapping the leash around your hand, or my hand. For me, with Lucy, 240 pounds, Lucy probably being like 20 or 30, I'm not worried about her pulling, but
No.
you get that. I mean, it makes sense energetically.
But you don't want her to get hurt, so you're let me keep her close.
Get that, and it's because the leash, I want to keep her close, so I do it to shorten the leash, or shorten the leash. But I'm excited to get the system out just to be able to use it, because even though she's a small dog, I want to keep her close and safe. And she usually likes to walk on my left side, because again, if I'm depending where I am, then it's just that's the side she walks on. But this, I wanted to pull this up if I could do this for a second. So just to show you guys, because again, when I first heard that just the harness, I'm like, okay, cool. Like the harnesses, they're all the same. And Alicia was telling me about this last year before the summit. But you can go and you can see the different components right here that make it all unique. And then there's more about Alecia. And then this is the part right here, which if I can let them know that if you guys would like to, if you're watching this live or in the future, that this AWS 10 and any of her products that she's offering right here, there's a course that's $197 that there's all kinds of training in audio, video, the book, and then the whole system, which is right.
There's no, on the 197, there's no video, but it's all audio, and you get the book, and I walk you through. So the basic system, the harness and leash, that comes with videos. It comes with a username and password to access the instructional videos. And I kid you, they're really, really simple. I made them like 3.5 minutes because I didn't want to make it this long, drawn out process, and you have to click and you have to treat. I didn't want to confuse people. Right. So the harness and leash themselves come with the instructional videos. And then if you order the in-sync method, I go much more deeply. You get the harness and leash, and you get the videos for how the harness and leash works. Yeah. And then all the other instructional pieces are audio. But I really take you through, having had a lot of years of observing dogs and learning, because of the animal communication piece, learning directly from the dogs what works for them. So it does not just address the dog behaviors. What it really addresses is the human side of the leash that helps create positive or negative behaviors, and what we can do on our side of the leash to help get in sync with our dog. And it's a simple method. I don't use a whole lot of science and stuff. I stay very clear that the underlying force of the relationship is the way you present your energy and how you're reading your dog's energy.
Cool. So that in the 7 weeks, so basically it's a 7-week home study e-course.
Yeah.
And then they get so then if you're a reader and you want to start with the book, you can get that for $19, or just the leash. But this is the most popular, I think, is what you said.
Yeah.
This one, $59 for the whole system. So again, guys, just because you're part of the Animal Wellness Summit community, and Alicia's a presenter for us, she's generously offered a discount code that you could put in there. It's AWS10. And then that gives you 10% off anything there if you'd like to go and check that out, if that resonates with you. Because again, as Alecia said, you can hear it through, let me turn this off here now. We can hear it through when you're talking, that it's not that you're just selling a product, even though you are, obviously, but it's a solution to something that is, through a product, by all the work and development that you've done, that you have access to be able to not just, this is just another harness. And I think that's what kind of stood out to me, is frankly, before I didn't know. I'm like, well, there's harnesses, they're all the same. And then you're like, no, like they're not the same, and here's why. And I'm like, okay.
And I'll say too about a harness in and of itself is, I don't care what the harness is, and I've tried all the harnesses on the market.
Yeah.
Harness in and of itself is not totally going to change your dog's behavior, even if it's front clip. That's why for a long time people would ask me, well, can I just buy the harness? Can I just buy the harness? And I'm like, not if your dog pulls, lunges, or jumps. You want the harness and the leash, because I am literally like the only dog trainer that has invented a product that not only is biomechanically sound and respects your dog's body, but the dog showed me the collection point, and that's why my system, why I have a patented harness of exactly where the clip sits at the front of the chest, because this is truly what I discovered was dogs actually have a collection point. They have a point on their body where if you touch on it, they will get out of instinct almost immediately. And that's what they showed me. They showed me the collection point. Because if you put your hand on your own chest, all of a sudden you have to start thinking in a different way, because you put it right at the center of your chest, your fingertips.
Yeah.
A little higher.
Oh, here.
Right there. So if somebody put their finger there, right, you don't have a lot of places in your body where you can actually dig in and get leverage.
Yeah.
And this is what happens with the dogs when they can't get leverage because I've cut off the power to the front legs. When I say cut off the power, I'm not like hurting them. I've just stopped them from being able to dig into their front legs. Right. All of a sudden they're like, well, wait a minute. Now I have to think about this because I can't just take off. I've got something here. So what do I do? And that's literally when they start tuning back into their human. And that's when the human and the dog start getting in sync with each other. And it's crazy how fast this can happen. I was on the phone with a client the other day. She contacted me and she said, well, my lab's still pulling. I said, okay, let's just get on the phone. So we did a like a FaceTime.
Yep.
I watched what was happening. She kept looking at her dog. I said, okay, number one thing, let's just stop looking at your dog, because what we also don't teach as trainers is our eye contact is actually giving information to our dogs. And so I just said, stop looking at your dog, go straight forward. Soon as he pulls, just stop and stand still. I clocked it. It was 68 seconds. Okay. Dog totally stopped pulling. He's looking at her. He's like, what do you want me to do? Within 2.5 minutes of she and I being on FaceTime, and she stopped and she was standing there, the dog just went and just laid down. He was so calm and relaxed. And she just said, this dog never does this. He never, ever. Like, I was like, that's the magic of the system. And that's why I always recommend the harness and leash together.
Yeah, and I think just listening to you describe that, because the challenges that exist that I've heard that I had no idea existed, and the challenges that just come up with training your dog, getting in sync, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Getting in sync with your dog, that it seems on the surface at first, until you've had the experience where you actually see it, well, how can that really be possible? It seems
totally.
And unfortunately, I think that with our human brains, not all the time, but that there's more often that is something to be really valuable, it has to be more kind of complicated and complex to figure out.
Oh my God, yes.
It's really simple, then it can be written off easier, right?
Exactly, and it's so true, because people make it so complicated, and why my clients come to me, they're like, I felt like a failure. Like, I didn't know if I clicked at the right time or treated at the right time. And one of the things, too, that's been fascinating for me is how complicated the science-based training. I'm not against it, but I'm just reiterating like what my clients say to me. They want ease.
Yeah.
They want simplicity. So what I started learning through this whole process is how much the inner communication gets screwed up because it's not being taught. So can I give a couple of tips on things for people? First and foremost, your dog is completely telepathic. And all that means is whatever picture you have in your head, that is their first form of communication. It's going to be a picture. It's not going to be words. So you want to have a very clear picture of what you want, not what you don't. The second thing is breathing. Well, actually, breathing is the first thing. Making sure you're belly breathing and that you're calm and relaxed, because even though you may think you're calm, okay, and your calm default might be chest breathing, if you're not truly calm and relaxed, your dog reads that in a millisecond. So no matter what you say, your dog is not going to believe you unless they can feel it in your body, which is huge because most people think they're breathing and calm and they're really not. And the third thing is clear, consistent boundaries. And that's where Walk and Sync is such a magical tool, because that's exactly what I've set you up for. The proper fitting harness that you can go and exercise all day long with your dog. They can sleep in it. They can do whatever they want in it. It's never going to impede their movement. And then pairing it with a leash that gives you clear boundaries. All of a sudden, now you and your dog are consistently communicating in a very clear way and with contact with the body that's never going to hurt your dog, but gives a very clear signal. Hey, we don't pull. And when you can master those three things of clear pictures, calm breathing, and consistency, you're going to have an amazing relationship with your dog. And what you will see, just like I described with this client, Kim, and her dog, Kim never asked the dog to lay down. Like, anytime, like, think about it. With the way that you're taught dog training, you always have to give your dog a command. But the reality is that when you and your dog, when your inner energy is relaxed and calm, when you are truly communicating the way your dog actually does communicate, no treats, just pat and praise, all of a sudden you and your dog get so in sync. It's like you can read each other's mind. It takes dog training to a whole nother level, being able to use Walk and Sync. Walk and Sync is the thing that's going to solve your main problem that you want relief from, which is probably pulling, lunging, or jumping, or being nervous or concerned. You know, that, like you said, you know, you wrap the leash for one reason, but most people will wrap the leash because they're afraid because they had an incident before. So Walk and Sync is that first step in physically helping you and your dog to be calm and relaxed and start to get in sync. And then the other trainings that I teach really teach the inner game and the inner aspect of how dogs actually communicate and what they actually need, because science can't measure those things yet. So they're going to take it to a certain level of what they can measure.
Right.
Give a dog a treat and here's the behavior. But they can't understand that inner energetic communication that dogs are taking, that they do it all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's good that you point that out, just because even if somebody, one of you watching, if you're on live, again, or in the replay, and thinking, well, okay, well, I need some like scientific factual proof. Well, the best thing is getting it,
experience,
using it, and
exactly.
Because I mean, I don't think anybody actually honestly is thinking that, because I think when you see it and how simple it is, that it does work, and so I think that's just cool. So thank you for.
And I have a different definition of science. I don't agree with science that's done in like a lab or a controlled environment, because then if you have it in a controlled environment, you really don't know all the places it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But if you have something that this is my new definition of science. If you have something that you can use that can be applied in just about every different type of situation that's not a controlled environment, and it works, then you know you're getting at the truth of what the dogs truly understand.
Yeah.
So that's my definition of redefining science.
I agree. I just think that, you know, it's like that in business and in personal training that it's like, well, here's the textbook example. Here's in marketing. Ideally, you put marketing out, more clients would come in, buy your product or service, your business would grow, everything's cool. But then there's the, like, here's the plan, and then here's the actual, and then the in-between is where the growth happens. And I mean, we've had a lot of questions, like hundreds of questions come in about all sorts of very interesting random things, because people, you guys participating in the site are like, well, you're just going to ask us questions, and we put them out to the presenters, but sometimes we can't, a lot of the times can't answer them just because we don't have the answers for them all. But it's been interesting to me just seeing the questions that come through, because like, well, this professional said this, or that professional said that, but here's what I'm finding, and here's what's working and what's not working. And what you said is really, it's just, it doesn't always work that way if it's a controlled environment. But then when you, like you said, you apply it in so many different scenarios, so many different dogs. Speaking of which, what is the heaviest dog that can go on this thing?
225 pounds.
Okay.
And we've had dogs at 210.
Wow.
Yeah, and
certainly wasn't
we got some very happy, replies, because people were, what do you do with the 210 pound dog? It's like having a pony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they weren't sure if it was going to work. But I mean, that's also too, I think that's the genius of what you put together with the summit. You put together a lot of amazing people that do in a variety of incredible work. But the main piece of it is the education piece. Because I know, like, as being a trainer, okay, there are so many people in the training field, unfortunately, that are slamming methods that actually teach how the dogs communicate, in form of another, and I understand why, but if you don't teach this to people, people are never really going to fully grasp what the depth and the beauty of having a really phenomenal relationship with your animal is. So training is just one aspect of it where people are, poo-pooing certain things. Right. But because of what you're doing with the summit, you're giving people an opportunity to learn about so many different aspects, and people get to, it's like a smorgasbord. You know what I mean? They get to pick and choose of, like, wow, that is fascinating for me, or that resonates for me. And that's, I think, in my opinion, I mean, it's the genius of it, because when you become a member, you don't have to sit there and go, oh my God, but there's so many pieces and I only, it's like you have the whole year. Yep. And then you could use this as an actual educational opportunity, because every presentation, like, nothing was about selling a particular product. I guess I'm unique in one way, just having invented a product, but it's specifically for training. Yeah.
But the presentation.
It's all education.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly, and thank you for mentioning that, because that's what I wanted to transition into as we wrap things up here, just because, for those of you still on live, what I'd love to do is just share this with you, because I'm presuming that you attended the 72-hour free replay weekend, and if not, then this is going to be great, so I can actually just share with you why we put this together in the way that we did for the VIP membership. And let me put the screens back up here, because what we found, so we, as in myself and my team, have put together 3 summits for Young Living essential oils, where as distributors to for distributors, by distributors. So some of you are involved with Young Living, some of you aren't. Either way, it's cool. But what we found is that people would buy the information in a flash drive or a digital downloads, and then it'd just be like another book on the bookshelf. It just kind of goes there, or they get into their computer, or they're trying to make it work, or then they get stuck with, I'm trying to download it and get it on my computer. Now I downloaded it, and now my computer crashed, or I want to get it on something else and get it on my phone, and it's not convenient and easy to get to. I mean, it sounds silly, but there's all these little things that kept coming up that I'm like, whatever, you buy the flash drive, you put it in the computer, you transfer the data over to your phone. It's pretty easy to me. But even people, just no matter what age they were at, they just kept stumbling over not getting able to just to be able to properly use it. And because it's like there's so much, right? There's in the Animal Wellness Summit, we have 58 presentations, and it's a lot. But in the YL Success Summit, we had like 70 and 67 and 64 or something. So there's like over 200 of them from the last 3 years. So all that to say that now what we've done is we really listened to feedback after the last summit, the Animal Wellness Summit, and the biggest complaint, or rather constructive feedback, was just that there's so much, I didn't have time to get through it during the free launch or the free summit, so I don't really know if I was able to get through everything, through every presentation. And so we had the question that coming up is, can we make it available so we could pay a smaller monthly subscription to then not only have access to just have access to the content? And I'm like, okay, well that's good, but then if you're going to take everything all at once and get it, but if we kind of, metaphorically, I'll use pie. I obviously have pie in my mind. So if I'm going to eat a pie and I eat the whole thing all at once, or I buy it and I eat 2 pieces and then I can't eat the rest, well, maybe I'll try and spread it out over the next couple of months, and that's good. But on the other hand, if I could teach you how I made the pie and make it a little bit healthier, and how this person made it, and different ways to do it, and different ways to preserve it or put it in the fridge, all that to say that we wanted to make, I don't know why I'm using pie as an example, but just to share that we want to not just dump a bunch of content on you. And so that's why the presenters, there's a Facebook group with all the presenters in it. So if you have a question, he's like, hey, Alecia, what about this with your harness? Or what do you think about that? And then we have live weekly calls every week. Right now they're on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I think we're up at about 14 or 15 now. VIP as a member, then you get access to all those coaching replays, all of the presentations, Alecia's presentation. So if you did miss it this weekend and you want to get into it a little bit more, then you can. And you can access it on our membership site and through our app. And so I don't know, did you see the quick demo that I did, the video of how we improved the membership site, that they can listen, watch, and read the presentations?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you can actually, you have the video and then there's the audio. So if you're traveling, you're commuting, like Alecia was driving across the country with her RV, you can.
Well, it's only like 3.5 hours, but it was my first time ever. I just hopped into like a 30-foot RV and I'm like, okay, here we go.
But that's a great example that you just can put one earbud in or put your phone on your speakers. And
yes.
Instead of watch a video, you can now use our app. We have a mobile app that you can download and just listen to the audio, or you can do it right from the website.
I personally prefer that because so many people were coming out with the videos, which are great, but when you're driving and you can't watch a video, but then also too, if you can't watch it's just nice sometimes to just listen and not have to worry about watching the video. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, because I agree. What I would do, I would even, with courses, I would just put my phone on, put my headphones on, put one headset on, or one earbud in, and then I would set the phone down so I'm not looking at it, but then I was chewing through a lot of data, whereas playing an audio file like an MP3 doesn't take long.
Yeah.
But on the app, you can download it. But anyway, so it's just making it so that you get more value out of getting through the presentations, and then the transcripts are there as well, so you can actually read them.
Awesome.
And I personally find it kind of weird. I think, like, why would you sit there, if you're going to sit there and read it, why wouldn't you just watch it? But then other people are like, no, I don't want to watch, I don't want to listen, I'm going to sit there and read and go fully transcribed all, so your full presentation, I don't know if you saw your own transcript yet, but your exact word for word has been transcribed in writing. And anyway, so that's just really cool. So that's the gist of it. And we offer the monthly membership for $29.95, and then the annual membership is $297 for the whole year. But depending on when you came in, if you're on the VIP wait list, you have a special offer that's in your email box. And if you're, for everybody else, that you join the free play weekend until May the 3rd, you can get $50 off the VIP annual. So this is where we just wanted to share this with you, and I would really be amazing to me and probably for Alecia as a fellow presenter if you guys join us in the inside, because we have just over 100 members right now. And it's really cool because the group's small, but we have big plans and big visions for it. And the neat part is that there is the engagement and ability for you to ask your questions on the live coaching calls and in the Facebook group is just really powerful. Because again, we're going to keep doing these free calls, like the weekly calls for the VIP coaching calls are going to be happening. But these our Facebook calls, like what we're doing with you right now, we'll be doing them just so we can interact and engage more, because we do get a lot of questions on a weekly basis, some more than others. But it's just neat because then it allows us as an Animal Wellness Summit to shine light on work like yours, Alecia. And I remember when you first came on and you told me, like, oh yeah, I designed the system, the walk and sync system. And I'm like, okay, like cool. I didn't really fully, well, like I wasn't being present. I just didn't really fully appreciate, the value that is there in that system and all the work that's went into creating and putting something like that together.
Well, and it's, if you think about it, it's like there's two things that every dog needs: food, and it used to be a collar and a leash. Now it's a harness and a leash.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Water you have at your house, bowls you can get, but the two things that every dog has got to have, unless the rare occasion, like you guys are out on a farm, and there are certain dogs that are, like outside all the time, but the two things that are an absolute necessity are food and the proper walking tools and training tools.
And even though I was walking Lucy, you'll see it in the video, but I was walking out, it's almost May, it's April the 29th, and there was snow on the ground this morning in Ontario. And so it wasn't that, well, it was cold enough obviously for snow, but it was starting to get warm when I took Lucy out for a walk. But I was on the road, so I'm not going to just let her go free on the road, because she's the dog. She just likes to see stuff and she'll run away. But we do let her go free. But when I take her on the road and just go for a walk, I'll put her on the system. So anyway, so thank you for taking the time to share with us tonight, and for all of you guys who were able to jump on live. And if you're watching this as a replay, you can. I just realized that I've been talking about how you can get started with the VIP membership, and I didn't put a link in here right now. So I'm going to pop in the comments. But for Alecia's system, if it resonates with you and you're like, yeah, I totally would like to get one right now, or at any point in the future, then go ahead and click on her website. Just
Walk and Sync, WALKINSYNC.com.
Yeah, so you can go to walkandsync.com, but it does redirect to dogwalkandsync.com. Either way, it's the same website. And you can just put in the code that she's offered to us and all of you guys as an extension to you for 10% off on anything on her site, which is really cool. So thank you for doing that, by the way. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome.
And then for those of you who want to join us in VIP, go ahead. If for whatever reason you're thinking you're sitting on the fence, you'd like to do, or I don't have the money right now, or I think that I can, or whatever it is, just please contact us, because the monthly option, we've never done this before, but we're going to try this out. So if you're thinking, well, I would really love to do this, and I just don't have the cash right now to join for the whole year, that's why we offer the monthly. But we're going to go one step further, and one step further is that if you join for the month, and if for whatever reason you get started in the month and you're like, hey, this is amazing, but I'm just not going to continue on, you can cancel and you don't have to continue on the 11 payments. But after that 30 days, then you're in for the whole year. It's going to be an amazing ride, and we'd love to continue to serve you. But basically, it kind of takes the pressure off. It really gives you like a 30-day money-back guarantee, where you can pay the $29.95, you can get in, you can watch some of the materials, the presentations, get on the coaching calls, get in the Facebook group, and then if for whatever reason, if up to 30 days after your first purchase, then you have to contact us and let us know. And that's basically us offering a money-back guarantee. That's how strongly I believe in it. I've been putting months of planning and time and energy and effort, and our team has in addition to all the presenters. And we're here to serve. So we want to put this out on the table, and we'd be very grateful for your support. And if not, then you don't have to feel obligated. It's basically like I'm offering you a glass of water on the table, and if you're thirsty, take a drink and join us. And if not, then...
Can I say one thing about that too? So I think we all know, and I'm not against veterinarians whatsoever, but I think we all know that it can be very, very expensive at times.
Yes.
And I think we're starting to realize overall that there are a lot of different alternative things that are less expensive that can really help our animals in a healing crisis at times.
Yeah.
So even if you had the $29.95 and we're paying monthly, if you have access to being able to look up directly something that somebody's talking about that applies to what you're experiencing, and you could gain one small tip that could assist your animal, it could save you so much money
A lot.
and also so much time and energy in sometimes not being correctly informed about what's going on with your animal. I've just seen it so many times. And the other thing too is I can pretty much say that for at least 10 to 15% of the people that are going to be watching the Animal Wellness Summit, they have some kind of calling inside of them that they're wanting more information. They love animals. They want to help animals. They want to do some kind of work with animals. I can guarantee that at least 10 to 15% of the people that watch are going to come up with something that all of a sudden sparks an interest in them and go, oh my God, can I make my dream of working with animals an actual reality also?
Yeah.
You know, so for the investment a month, for the $29.95 a month, you are literally getting like an info dictionary, you know, of all different types of modalities for like dogs, horses, cats, birds. Did you have any aquatic?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So no.
Birds.
Okay. But it's a plethora of information that you get your time, you get to take your time digesting, and you also get to have it literally as like a biography kind of reference to anything that you might be experiencing with your animal that you might want to see if there's an alternative way to approach it.
Yeah, for sure. And I last comment on what you said about the having to go to the vet, that actually has happened 4 times that I know of right now in the paid membership, in the VIP community, that the questions that were asked by somebody, they didn't post it in the group, but they mentioned it because, again, we be respectful. It's not like or even the presenters are like anti-vet, are like, oh, don't go to any of the vets, you know, they're no good unless they're holistic. Well, there's not as many holistic-based and minded vets around the country as there is conventional. And you go there, I kind of look at it like with allopathic medicine. You do as much as you can. I do as much as I can with essential oils and natural things and remedies, but I'm not pig-headed enough to say, oh, well, if I need medical attention, I'm not going to.
Totally.
Especially with me living.
And medicine, most of medicine is based on acute or emergency.
Yeah.
So, you know, the other thing too is by being a member of the summit, you're going to start to understand and learn a variety of holistic approaches that oftentimes you can look at your animal, you can get the sense, like one of the things I teach is animal communication. And I teach it not just so that you can tune into your animal and know what they're thinking and feeling, but also so that you can actually learn to trust your gut instincts again. You know, I cannot tell you how many times learning that has saved my own butt with my animals, you know, of knowing what was going on and being able to muscle test. So, you know, there are things that you will find through the summit, aspects of education, and then you will also be able to advance your education if you want to learn even more about a specific topic. But with so much, like you said, coming out from the human perspective about how many alternatives are actually available to us, just to be able to even have that choice, have, you know, an alternative choice is huge.
Yeah, and I appreciate that 100%, because what I didn't finish saying, I went on a big tangent there, I think, was just to say that because I'm not like anti-vet or like conventional vet and
me neither,
and holistic, but sometimes it depends on what your perspective is. But the thing is, if you can save yourself from even one vet visit that you don't need to go to, you
totally covered your cost.
Yeah, and that was really the vision. I was like, okay, well, if we can set it up in a way that it's economical, less than $1 a day, that you can stay engaged, learning from the new content. And I didn't mention this either. And Diane, I want to answer your question because I saw you post this earlier, but the comments are showing up really slow. So I just saw this about 7 minutes late. I think my computer needs to be restarted. But basically, when you join as a VIP, you get access to all the content that we did back in 2017. So and Diane, on a quick nutshell, if you're still on, basically the online summit is an online, you go to animalwellnesssummit.com. You can find out more about what we have been doing there last year. And then this year, because you would be joining now and then you have a 12-month membership that you can continue to keep renewing in the future, is that our 2018 summit, because you're a VIP member, you'll have access to all that new content. We're starting to work on that now. So we're adding in more, and that'll be happening in this later in the fall. So the access to the content that you have will be almost double, which is pretty awesome because, again, then you can focus on the specifics as to what it is that you need. And Diane, you just said you totally missed the summit. So where can you find out more information? So you can go to animalwellnesssummit.com, or if you're interested in joining, you can click on the VIP button because now the 72-hour free weekend is like literally 2 hours left. But then you can also join as a VIP member. Any questions, guys, you can email us at support@animalwellnesssummit.com. And to contact Alecia, her information is on her website, and you can go to walkandsync.com, and you can use her promo code if you guys want to pick up a harness. Not harness,
and Leash.
And Leash.
System.
Whole system. I'm thinking harness compared to a collar. And Francois, I think it's Francois, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but saying that too bad you don't have a retail in Canada, the shipping would be high. I will say that Alecia has mentioned that in the future. When I ordered, it wasn't that bad, but the only thing that is unfortunate is that the Border Patrol, depending on how it comes through, you might get hit with duty and you might not. So the shipping's actually not that bad. I think it was only about 15 or maybe $19 to get it to Canada. So it's not like it's dirt cheap.
And that's like, I have no control over that.
Yeah,
it used to be like $9.95 and then it was $12.95. And one day I went to the post office and I was like,
yeah, I know. It's just, it's just we're used to it as Canadians. We're used to it, but I can tell you that the benefits that you get out of it will be worth that little bit of extra.
I mean, that part of it. And if you have any questions like about sizing, because you want to make absolute sure, you can just contact me at info@dogwalkinsync.com, and I'll totally help you with sizing.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good because you
Thank you so much.
Size, to make it fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Thank
Thank you guys
for the summit.
Yeah, and thank you for joining. And I don't know if I've asked you this, but I'm just going to presume that you're going to be presenting again for us this year, hopefully.
I'd love to.
That'd be super awkward if I asked you on a live and you're like, actually, I decided I'm not going to.
I'm a little busy. Sorry. Can't do it.
Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, guys. For all of you,
thank you all.
And if you're watching this after as a replay, then either way, that's great. Stay blessed, stay grateful, stay awesome, and have a great night. Or if you're in Australia or anywhere else in Europe, you probably should be sleeping right now. But if you're in Australia, then enjoy the rest of your day, okay? See you guys.